Hello, everybody, and welcome to a very special edition of The Room, the podcast brought to you by LFC Transfer Room. And it's a special edition because we're recording this on the back of a wonderful Fulham signing. And we're going to get on to Fabio Carvalho in a moment. But first, we are going to hit you with some more transfer news roundup. And I'd like to ask Kris and Daz to listen very carefully, because there are a few things in here. There's been a lot of, we're gearing up, aren't we, for the summer transfer window. And that's when all of the rumours come out. So there are a few in here. The first one is that Liverpool are among the clubs tracking 25 million euro rated Gleison Bremer, who is a centre-back. Inter Milan are understood to be leading the race for the 25-year-old defender. A switch to Anfield looks unlikely, although not impossible right now, as Joe Gomez's future would appear to be the least certain. Gomez is determined to stay on Merseyside. He is viewed by Jurgen Klopp as part of Liverpool's long-term plans. That's from Neil Jones from Goal, who is extremely reliable. He also goes on to say that Liverpool are likely to sell one centre-back this summer in Nate Phillips, who has obviously been on loan with Bournemouth in the Championship, while Sepp van der Berg and Reece Williams are both expected to head out on loan next season as well. Darwin NUNEZ, we came up against him in our victory away in Lisbon. Darwin NUNEZ has caught the eye of the LFC scouts, with the player impressing with his quality. It's been reported that Jurgen Klopp has two Benfica names underlined. That is Rafa Silva and Darwin NUNEZ himself. Klopp was very impressed by the duo, considers himself obviously extremely skillful, and he will keep an eye on both of them with their upcoming matches. And I'm sure he'll have a very close eye on the one coming up next week at Anfield. AC Milan are set to complete Liverpool signing Divock Origi, although that deal is currently on standby. There's a gap around 1 million euros for his wages, although there is optimism about the deal being done soon, and that's according to lots of reports in Italy and Belgium, including Core Sport. Speaking about AC Milan, we'll stay with them. They are set to compete against Liverpool for the signing of Watford forward Ismaila Sarr. The Reds have made inquiries about him in the past, and there's a rumoured price tag around 30 to 40 million euros. Obviously, if they get relegated, that price might drop. And finally, a bit of good news that Mohamed Salah looks to be staying at Liverpool, with Barcelona giving up on trying to sign the forward. This is because the forward would demand an annual wage of around 17 million euros for 5 seasons he would like to sign. Now, we all know what is happening with Barcelona's finances. It looks highly unlikely that they'll be able to afford anything near that. That's from Spanish newspaper Sport, who also go on to say Salah is about to say yes to Liverpool, and that has been rumoured in the past week that, you know, it is edging closer. So hopefully he makes himself a hero. He's set to build a legend status even further. So that's our transfer roundup. Now there's a lot of things in there, as I said. We only report on the things, you know, that are obviously reported from other outlets. We don't make up these rumours ourselves. We literally just report on them. Was there anything there, Daz or Chris, that you would like to have a look at more in depth, or anything that you would like to discuss?
Go ahead, Daz. Anything in there that sort of take your fancy?
I like NUNEZ, especially for 20-25 mil, though I don't think Benfica will sell for that cheap. I just don't. He looks good. He's a target man, which would be a replacement for Origi. You know, a different type of forward for us. But I'm waiting for Ritchie. Where's the Rafinha news?
I love a bit of Rafinha propaganda. It's not coming up yet, although, and you know what, as well, I was also thinking that last night between the Burnley Everton game, like, can they not just lose? The Leeds do get relegated, and the rumoured 25 million euro release clause can then be activated. But yeah, no Rafinha news sadly this week. Anything from you there, Kris?
It was interesting to talk about the centre half Bremer. I think if there's one position we don't need, it's centre back. We've got a serious quality and depth there. I don't see Joe Gomez going anywhere, to be honest with you. I think ahead of him you have 3 defenders who could potentially get injured. Obviously, Van Dijk hasn't had a great record. He had 2 big long-term injuries. Matip, obviously, we all know about his frailties. I mean, Kanate had a long spell out last season with Leipzig. So it could be at any point that Joe Gomez gets his chance and reinstates himself back into this Liverpool team. And I think that's why he will be sticking around. So I just think any links to any centre halves will be nonsensical. And Nat Phillips as well. A very good friend of mine from Bournemouth thinks that Scott Parker's so interested in signing him. But unfortunately, they're willing to only pay about £7 million when the rumoured asking price would be about 15 million. So they've got a little bit of work to do there.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. I can't see us going in for a centre back, especially with a young Konate waiting. And I would love to see Joe Gomez and Konate being Liverpool's future centre back pairing, because I think that both of them are athletes. I think both of them are very good on the ball. And I've been impressed with Gomez, you know, even playing at right back, you know, covering for Trent is no easy feat, but you know, he dug right into the Trent playbook the other day with his assist against Watford. So I've been thoroughly impressed with Gomez. He's versatile, he's young, he's full of energy, and he very rarely makes a mistake, if I'm honest. I know that we saw Konate had a fantastic first half, and yes, he's 22, and I think we saw why perhaps Klopp hasn't thrown him into every single game with that left-footed attempted clearance that obviously led to NUNEZ's goal. That's exactly why, you know, Konate is third choice, you know, behind Matip and Van Dijk, and rightly so as well. So yeah, I tend to agree actually with you as well. We mentioned Rafinha earlier. What about Ismail Assar? Because we've been linked to forwards. I know that we've obviously signed Carvalho. He's not a wide forward, but we've been linked to wide forwards for quite a while now. Is Ismail Assar somebody who could come in perhaps and, you know, have an impact like Diaz has had on that perhaps right-hand side?
I don't think so. I think if Klopp wanted him, we would have got him a season or two ago. Again, yeah, Watford look like they're going to get relegated. So, yeah, the 40 will probably come down to like 25, 30. I don't know. I don't think too much of him, to be honest. Like I've said to mates as well, he's good for Watford, but for Liverpool, I just don't think, you know, again, Klopp would have got him if he wanted him before, and it just hasn't materialised. I mean, because a season ago, there was tons of talk in the newspapers that were interested in, and nothing ever happened. So I'm just one of those where if it didn't happen, it's not going to happen.
I think with Sarr as well, I think he's sort of missed the boat when it comes to signing for Liverpool. I think Liverpool have evolved now past the need for him.
Yeah.
Obviously, he'd be a decent depth option, but I'd rather not spend 25 to 30 million when we've already got Taki Minamino scoring goals in the League Cup and Carabao and FA Cup. We don't need Ismail Assar anymore. Liverpool have evolved past it. I think he'll go do well in a mid-table Premier League club or top of La Liga or the Bundesliga, but I think Liverpool is just a step too far. Ritchie, you're muted, mate.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I know I hit the cue and it didn't quite come off. So, yeah, I think I tend to agree. It would be a great option. And listen, Jurgen Klopp has made average players become the best in the world. So I don't think it will be the end of the world if we do sign him. It's going to have to be subjective on whether he's happy to sit on the bench for a while, because that's exactly where he is going to sit. Whoever comes in is going to have to come and sit on that bench. And it's whether you've got that right character and personality to wait your time and bide your time, or just come in and do exactly what Luis Diaz has. And, you know, it's not a front three, it's not a front four, it's a front five now. And that's so important, really, for Liverpool, because we've said for years that Liverpool needed squad depth to compete with City. I'd probably argue that Liverpool might just edge it, actually, in squad depth, that Liverpool perhaps might have a better squad than City now. So we can't use that excuse on Sunday, I'm afraid, especially since for once we've got a fully fit squad. Great news about Fabinho, obviously not having concussion or not having any lasting head injury, obviously after Benfica. So predictions for Sunday before we get on to Fabio Carvalho. What do we think? There's a point in it. Is it winner takes all? Is it a case of if Liverpool win, they'll go on to win the league? Is it a case if City win, they go four clear? Is it too far to catch them?
I think if City win, I think 4 points is a bit too much. a draw wouldn't really. I mean, 3 points, defo. We all want that because it's put a marker down and get in front of them. Because I think if we win, well, we will win. On Sunday, I think we won't look back. But I still think there's some twists and turns in this title. There definitely is. But if they go 4 points clear, you know, obviously City will, you know, take it. But you know, it's been what 10 years since we've beaten them at Etihad.
7 years.
Yeah, I think it's time. It's going to happen. I don't do predictions. The only thing I will predict is we're going to win. So I don't do like score lines. I think Salah's going to have I think he's going to bag a brace. I do. And he's going to shut up all those, you know, people that have been slagging him off like all week. Like Salah's done, you know. He's bringing nothing to Liverpool anymore. I'm just like, oh wow. Stop.
Short memories, memories, mate.
Well, that's what you get with the Twitter brigade, isn't it?
Oh yeah,
they just like lose their memories. But yeah, I think nothing but a win. But like I said, even a draw, we're still in it.
I've gone through. You know how there's like the 7 stages of grief. I'm going through the sort of 7 stages of playing Man City. This is at the start. I was just like, we're losing this game. I have no confidence whatsoever. You know, Man City are just such a well-drilled unit. Then I saw them. You know, they haven't been convincing in the last few weeks. They're sort of teetering on the edge of falling off. And they obviously this 14-point lead thing that Pep Guardiola's come out with today. It's fake. It's fake. No, Pep. It was there. Despite the games in hand. And then the way we played against Benfica the other day, and the way Luis Diaz is playing, I think we'll edge it. I've got the confidence now that we can bring on 2 world-class forwards at 60 minutes, and we can completely change the game. That the signing of Diaz has done that. And that's how important it is to be ambitious in the transfer market, is because one signing can change the whole trajectory of your season. I think that's what happened, to be honest. We were looking like, you know, we were playing well. We were still, you know, well second or third, but Luis Diaz has propelled us, not alone, but with the aura that he's brought, that Liverpool have 5 world-class forwards. He's put us in this position. I'm confident. I think we'll nick it 1-0.
Well, we needed that lift, didn't we, in January with Salah and Mane off at AFCON. I think if Diaz hadn't come in, I don't think we would be a point behind City. No chance.
No.
He's just lifted the whole team. But yeah, I think we'll break that duck on Sunday. What's your midfield? I know what mine is the old schoolers.
I got a lot of stick on this on the Anfield Agenda stream earlier, but I'm going for Fabinho, Henderson, Thiago.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, all day.
Experience.
And that's purely because I think a lot of people want to see Naby after his performance the other day. Like that first half was electric against Benfica. But I just think to cover Trent, we need Henderson there.
I also think that we looked, as fantastic as it looked, playing with 2 8s does leave a big gap. And when there was like that mad 15 minutes where Liverpool looked like, you know, they were all over the shop, one man came on and calmed everything down, and that man was Jordan Henderson. And that's exactly what he does. He is calmness personified, and he is a leader, and that is his role. Against Manchester City, against Bernardo Silva, Kevin De Bruyne, whoever it is in that central midfield, you need somebody who is disciplined like Henderson, who will do all the nitty-gritty work. He won't be as attacking as Thiago and Naby. He won't be as dynamic. He won't be box to box necessarily, like looking to score goals or looking to assist goals. But what he will be is disciplined, and he will work alongside Fabinho holding. He'll also work alongside Thiago moving forwards. I generally think what the best thing about that midfield is, if we do need somebody to come on in midfield and create a spark, we've got Keita. Let him come on as a cameo and let him do what he does. And that way, it's like you say, whoever plays in that front 3, you've got 2 world-class players coming on. You've got the same really with Keita, because a fit Naby Keita is so important to Liverpool. It's so important for the future of Liverpool, because Naby Keita is I think he gets a lot of stick, obviously, and rightly so when it comes down to his injury record. But he's done nothing wrong whilst wearing the shirt. I can't remember him dropping below a 7, if I'm completely honest, not in recent times. So I agree. That's my midfield as well, Kris. And Daz, you've said that that's your midfield as well. I think the defence picks itself. And I suppose, do you know what? As controversial as it is, I'm not sure. And I think you always have to play him. I think if I was Klopp, I still would play him. But I'm not sure if Mo Salah is in that right frame of mind, is in that right physical frame to actually start against Manchester City. Now, Daz said that he would knock in a brace. That would be the best thing for him. And I completely understand why Klopp played him in the week, because if he did bag a goal against Benfica, his confidence goes sky high again. But it might have had the opposite effect, that he didn't score. Now, he did get in two really good positions. So that doesn't necessarily worry me, because he's in the positions to score the goals. It's just not coming, but it will. But if he's coming up against, a Cancelo, is it perhaps a game where he comes on at 60 minutes and runs riot? Or is it one that he starts and comes off at 60 minutes if it's not working? Either way, his confidence is going to be affected.
The only thing I think on that one is I don't like Mane on the right. I'm sorry. I don't like it. Not anymore. I think that's potentially one position that we need is a cover for Mo, because I don't think Mane's quite got the same level of explosiveness that he once had to play on the right. Not saying that he's not an incredible player, because he is. He's filled in that number 9 spot amazingly well. But yeah, I think that's the thing keeping Salah in the team, really. And the fact that he's got like a tremendous amount of credit in the bank.
100%, yeah.
Like he's allowed to have a couple of bad performances. For me, I would be going with Diaz, Mane, and Salah as my front three.
Would you? I'd have Jota in over Diaz, purely
That's
for the magnitude, and Jota has that. But I agree. I think Mane has to play. There's a case really for Firmino, because Firmino does play. Yeah, I mean, against Man City, you would expect Firmino to create that space for whoever it's going to be, Jota or Mane or Salah. I just don't know. I think if you play, again, Firmino is someone who you could easily bring on when hopefully you're 1 or 2 goals up, because he's more defensive and he'll chase things down. I think Jota is your man to get the goals and Mane through the middle. But there's a case, let's be honest, there's a case for any of those front 5 to start right now.
But isn't that great that we're even talking like we've got a front 5 that can, we can bring on Diaz and Jota or Bobby. I mean, that's where we should be. Any front 3, I still think is going to give City a handful.
Yeah, me too. And I really do hope that it's a day where Mo Salah gets his confidence back, and there'll be nothing. If you can paint an ideal picture, Mo Salah would score a penalty, and then that Egypt penalty is out of his mind. He's back, like he's happy again. And like I said, there's absolutely nothing that worries me about Mo Salah. He's still in that position to score goals. The goals just aren't coming yet. And as a forward, I'm surprised it's not happened before. Like Mane went through a little bit of a goal scoring drought. Firmino obviously has done it. This is the first time in like 4 years I can remember Salah doing it. And we're only talking about I think it's not a goal in open play in 8 games, which is ridiculous, because he's still soaring above the rest in Premier League Golden Boot race this year. He's still scoring. I think he's got 8 out of 9 now in Europe. So he's still scoring goals. So yeah, the narrative behind him not playing well when he's finished is diabolical, and it's not really worth looking into. But I do think a goal would probably, propel him on for the rest of this season.
Yeah, I agree. 100%.
So on to our main news. Then. Liverpool has been announced from multiple outlets, and since January, our very own Matt Thielen as well has said and been extremely insightful about this. Liverpool have signed the Fulham youngster Fabio Carvalho, and it will be apparently announced in May, which is fine. It makes sense, absolute sense, because Fulham are chasing down a championship. I should think by then they probably would have won it. So it makes sense not to disrupt them too much, although it's a pretty poorly kept secret. But the 19-year-old has undergone a medical with the permission of Championship leaders ahead of his anticipated summer move to Merseyside. Liverpool are going to pay £5 million, which is an absolute snip. He has a year left on his contract, but there will be a further 2.7 million in add-ons. I think there's also a 20% sell-on fee as well. And he'll be under contract at Anfield until 2027, which is, you know, tying down 5 wonderful years for a 19-year-old. He scored 8 goals. He's had 7 assists this season for Marco Silva's side. And obviously he is regarded as one of the brightest talents in the country. Fabio Carvalho was rumoured and, you know, almost done deal on transfer deadline day. However, Liverpool were unable to register in time because he was going to be loaned back for Fulham for the remainder of the season. So all's well that ends well. Liverpool got their man for the price, for the medical, for everything that they wanted to do in January. And to be fair, you know, Paul Joyce said that it would be, and so has our very own Matt Thielen as well, said that it would be one that Liverpool revisited, and they've gone and done it. So before I get on to any more, you know, Fabio Carvalho facts or Fabio Carvalho, you know, what he brings to Liverpool. I mean, thoughts on a 19-year-old who really has looked to, and I'm sure Liverpool fans have watched Fulham very closely this season, knowing that this was perhaps going to happen since January. I mean, give us a bit of thought about Fabio Carvalho, I suppose. What are your thoughts and opinions on a 19-year-old who looks like he's got the world at his feet?
Right, Chris.
I am ecstatic with this signing. Back in January, I was absolutely gutted it wasn't done, purely because I was thinking, Christ, is someone else going to come in and get him? But I think the only reason why that hasn't happened, and the reason why we've got him, is because of the gestural loan of Nico Williams, which has worked out for all parties, to be honest with you, because he's been astounding for Fulham, and I think they'll sign him when they come up. Yeah, Carvalho is someone who just excites me tremendously. It'll be very interesting to know how Jurgen Klopp plans to use him. He's a man who can either play in an advanced state, he can play on the left, he can play on the right, he can play in a 10, he can play the false 9. That, I think that might be his future, with Firmino's Liverpool career slowly coming to an end. I think that might be where Fabio Carvalho fits in, but I don't know about you, Daz. What do you reckon?
I think I agree everything you just said. I love that he can play either centrally or as a winger or as a false 9. He looks the real deal, and at 19, you know, he's got the world at his feet. I'm just curious to see whether he's going to pick Portugal or England.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
if he picks England, he'll be homegrown, and if not,
yeah,
obviously.
No, I think he will still be homegrown because he trained in England for his whole career, so I think he'll be all right. But whatever happens, he's still homegrown.
Yeah, I feel like we've got 2 presents from Fulham in the past 2 seasons. I feel bad for him because, I mean, you know, Elliott obviously hasn't been playing lately, but, you know, he's one for the future, and Fabio again, you know, one for the future. And I love, you know, if this is what's, you know, Romano's reporting, like, we're not going to loan him out, which obviously shows Klopp already has faith in the lad. He's going to be probably playing in the League Cup games, FA Cup, you know. So yeah, I can't wait for him to get in that red shirt and, you know, do his thing.
I think what you've just said there, this is perhaps why a deal was done as well, and why Fulham actually wanted it done, because obviously we had to go to tribunal with Harvey Elliott, and that is only 4.3 million. That could rise to 4.3 million. So Fulham might have just wanted to cash in their chips and say, no, we don't want to do another tribunal. We know how that worked out with Harvey Elliott. So, you know, he's a player who mainly, you know, he has played a lot in the attacking midfield role. He's played 63 games there, and he scored 26 goals and registered 13 assists. So, you know, he is quite like what Chris said as well. He's at 19. He could learn from Firmino until Firmino moves on. I think that he averages 3 shots a game. Okay, so 3 shots a game. So that's quite high. If you think about how much, I know it's in the Championship, it's in a completely different league, but if you think about that shot rate, that finishing is going to be turned into goals. I know he's only got 8 this season. I say only, he's still good for a 19-year-old and 7 assists. But 56 shots in 29 appearances is something that, you know, he's not scared of shooting. He's created 54 chances. He's had 27 shots of those shots on target. He tackles a lot. He's had 31 tackles. He's going to fit into that press so well. He is a presser. I know that Fulham don't tend to use the press so much, but you know, he's not scared to put his foot in. And I think he is going to be a phenomenal signing for Liverpool wherever he plays. It'll be really interesting as well to see what happens with the likes of Curtis Jones. I think that Oxlade-Chamberlain's writing, I'm sorry, Kris, is perhaps on the wall this summer. I know that you're a very, very big fan of the Ox. I think his writing is perhaps on the wall. The fact that Jones has played before him, and I think Elliott will perhaps go in the pecking order, and obviously Keita, Thiago, Henderson, and Fabinho. I mean, Milner comes on as well, as he showed. So I think Ox might be on the wall, but I wonder what this does with Curtis Jones. I personally would like to see Jones be loaned out because I think that there is an absolute player in there given regular game time. I just think it's unfortunate for Jones that he has those aforementioned players ahead of him. But I do wonder what it would do for Jones, and I wonder how, you know, that fits him in, because Jones is really an attacking midfielder, isn't he? I know that in his youth he played off the left-hand side as well. So Carvalho is essentially coming in to take that, maybe.
Maybe. I think the biggest problem for Curtis is that the role he plays is completely detrimental to what his natural game is. I think he's sort of been put in this sort of holding 8 that he's not really being allowed to express his natural game. Now, I'm not saying that as a fault with Jurgen Klopp, because Jurgen Klopp knows a lot more about football than I do. And, you know, Curtis, I just think he's got such a bundle of talent, and I think it'd be a waste to send him out on loan, because I think he could be an asset for our season next season and seasons beyond. I understand the whole rationale behind it, that he needs regular game time, and that is absolutely more than fair enough. But at the start of this season, I thought he was putting in incredible performances. He earned himself a start against Manchester City. He's still earning himself starts now. And I understand some of his performances haven't been great, but I still think he's a very valuable asset to the side and brings something completely different to others.
I think the freak injury he had with his eye kind of stopped him, because he was playing regular up until then. And then, you know, after that, he's been in and out of the team. But yeah, at the moment, I just don't think his talents are, you know, being used where they should be. You know, again, like who am I to say anything about Klopp? But yeah, he's more attacking, and he just seems to be too deep, having to go too deep to get the ball. But yeah, I'm with Kris. I probably wouldn't send him out on loan. I just think he can learn a bit more from the players around him. I mean, anybody that's in a squad with Thiago, you know, can learn a hell of a lot, rather than going to some, you know, a Brent. Well, you know what? One of the teams that I wouldn't mind would be Brentford. I think Jones could do really well there, especially with Eriksen in that team. You could learn off of him. But yeah, just Jones will be around for a while. You know, I hear, again, you know, a lot of Twitter brigade saying Jones is this and that, but you always have to say, if Klopp's playing him, then obviously the lad's good, because Klopp doesn't play, you know, crap players. So yeah, he has a massive future.
Yeah, and he's obviously got the right attitude, which is exactly, you know, Klopp plays players with the right attitude, and you can't substitute attitude for anything else in the world. You know, it doesn't matter how much potential you've got. If you've not got the attitude to realise that potential, then it's irrelevant. So I really hope that Jones, you know, doesn't get himself perhaps, you know, shaded out a little bit. I think he's better than just a League Cup player, for instance. So hopefully he'll, you know, find his feet. Again, he's only a young lad, and I think
he's played 70 games for Liverpool.
Yeah, I mean, last season he played so many games, and he played well, you know. But it's, you know, like I said, I generally think though with Jones, he has a lot of pressure on him being a Scouser. Now, some people thrive on that, you know, but I think that perhaps why Elliott doesn't come under as much criticism, because You know what? Yeah, he's been good. He hasn't set the world on fire, I don't think, this season. He's had spells of greatness, much like I think Jones has. But it feels like Jones is the person who people target, perhaps because he's a Scouser. I don't know. Maybe that's just my output. Like
all the pressure on himself as well.
Exactly. Yeah.
Scouser as well. But
seeing how well Trent's done.
Yeah, but I hear a lot of people saying he's too cocky. And
I'd say that opposite.
What's wrong with being cocky? Like Elliot's cocky. There's nothing wrong with being.
I think he's quite reserved, actually.
Especially in his football. I think he just needs to express himself a bit more. Like it seems like he's holding it back. I think he's a confident young man. It's the same with Harvey, but like sometimes you just say to Curtis, right, don't play that sideways pass. Going on a run, because we all know that he's got that ability. It's very clear and obvious to see. And when he sort of doesn't have that sort of pressure on him, it comes out. Like that Everton game, the goal he scored against Everton in the FA Cup. That game, he was outstanding in all facets of his game. Towards like last season, the Sheffield United game comes to mind. I thought he was amazing in that one. And it always seemed like we were substituting Curtis Jones off and then we would concede. Which
happened with Man City, didn't it? I think it happened with Man City when we were drawing and we took him off, and it completely changed the game last season. Yeah. So yeah, I agree. You know, I think he probably needs a run of games. He needs a bit of confidence. But as we said, you know, the likes of Keita, Fabi, Hendo, and Thiago are difficult, you know, to break up and to get regular game time from. But that is all we have time for today. Very quick, yes or no? Quadruple on.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. There we go.
Still in it. So yeah.
Why in it to win it, mate.
Yeah, you got to believe, right?
And I was very, very disappointed. I have score alerts on my phone to see that second Villarreal goal was disallowed because I thought a 2-goal lead would be, you know, this is Bayern. They are very good. A 2-goal lead would be, still a well-drilled Villarreal side. This isn't a Villarreal side that we played a couple of years ago. You know, this is a good Villarreal side. That would have been really hard for Bayern to overturn. But, you know, it'll be an interesting one that see what happens. You can only beat what's out in front of you. So, yep, good. Quadruple, all saying yes. And hopefully we beat City twice this month. But thank you all for listening. And it's a massive game on Sunday. So obviously, you know, the lads are going to be live streaming and we're going to have so much more content on LFC Transfer Room. So make sure that you tune in for that. As always, you can listen to us on Spotify. You can listen to us on Apple and every podcast streaming device there is. Also, you can catch us on YouTube, although you're going to see our 3 faces. So I probably wouldn't recommend that you do that. Apart from that, thank you all for paying attention and thank you for having us this far. I hope you're excited as we are with Fabio Carvalho and obviously the remainder of the season. But until now and forever, up the Reds.